Last week, we explored the audacity of Artie Abrams. They did West Side Story, and we got a lot of confusing messages about sex, again. And that's what you missed on Gleeboot.
Gleeboot.
Yep.
Yay!
That's very accurate. A lot of confusing messages about sex, again. Yeah,
Yep.
That sums up that episode pretty well.
Welcome to Gleeboot, the show where we get drunk and talk about rebooting Glee one episode at a time. I'm Cullen.
Alyssa.
I'm Hannah.
And we have our special guest today, our dear friend, Morgan.
Hey everyone. Yay.
So excited to have you on.
Yeah, excited to be here, hanging out. But you guys have fun drinks. I have tea, which is a lot less exciting, but it's really cozy. So bear with me.
Just put something in it.
It's mint tea. I feel like that could only work in certain situations.
That's true. That's maybe like a mint liquor.
Ooh, maybe.
I don't think I'm fancy enough to have that, but next time. That's the goal. Like, how can I get drunk off of mint tea?
Yeah. I love how you're like, you guys have fancy drinks. I literally told them I'm calling this recording on a Tuesday night. It's literally just orange juice and tequila. Tequila
There's a straw.
Sunrise.
There's a straw. Give yourself more credit. I don't know straws.
And it's in a Dia de los Muertos sugar skull wine glass.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the straw is purple and it matches the glass.
Yeah, I bought these cheap straws. There was like a pack of 30 for like $1. I was like, hell yeah. And they're all like colors that go with these glasses that I have. So now I can have mixed drinks with matching.
Yeah,
that's
fancy.
This matters.
That's fancy.
I'm already feeling the tequila.
So.
This is I have like a jank dark and stormy right now. I tried to make a dark and stormy, but I don't have ginger beer. So instead, you remember last episode we were drinking the Stella Artois Solstice Lager. So I have that with
character growth.
Yes, well, I was trying to make a dark and stormy, but instead I created a light squall.
I like that. That's nice.
Thank you.
I love dark and stormy. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Yeah,
it's actually my favorite.
I say that sounds really good, actually. Even though I haven't had that beer, I'm gonna actually try to find that beer for the Friendsgiving we're having next week. So I will have to write it down.
It's actually pretty good. It's like not quite citrusy. It's more like it kind of tastes like appley, like very fall-like.
Nice.
That sounds good.
I'm drinking a Mike's Hard Tangerine Lemonade in honor of Mike Chang, who was barely in the episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he had 2 episodes where there were somewhat significant storylines about him. Of course, we have to completely sideline him. Duh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Morgan, what is your journey with the show Glee?
Yeah, so I watched a lot of Glee in college, and then stopped. I'm trying to remember. I think after the 3rd season, somewhere in the 4th season, if I had to guess. But since quarantine started, Brittany and I have started watching Glee again. But I don't know how to feel about it. We're in the 6th season. Oh, wow. And we were watching it a lot, and then I couldn't handle it. We needed to stop because I was like, I can't. And what if our neighbors like hear us watching it? And I got kind of embarrassed. That's where I'm at with Glee. So I had definitely seen this episode already, and then I rewatched it today. To be really good about it, take some notes, have all my thoughts. I take it very seriously.
We appreciate your sacrifice.
Anytime.
Brittany watched with me. Yeah, I completely forgot we were recording today, and good thing Cullen told me in the morning because I wouldn't watch the episode.
Oh my god! I was gonna be like, please tell me Alyssa is going for this blind. I can't.
No. I did watch it, but it was a near thing.
Yeah,
you would have missed out on a lot.
Same way. Like, I know I've watched into season 4 and then I stopped, but like everything after season 2 is a complete blur to me. Did not see any of this stuff coming that happened today.
This episode, I remember it. I've been dreading it since we started the podcast. because it's got some moments.
Capital M moments.
Yes.
Cullen came in and asked me what I thought of the episode after I watched it. Like immediately after I watched it.
I like heard it ending and I was like,
Yeah,
I want
he's like
that.
up against his door, like listening.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. And the one thing that I had to say was I don't remember. I watched it. I was sitting at the computer. I watched the episode and I couldn't remember what happened at the beginning of the episode.
it was leaving you as you were watching it.
Yes,
I've had that happen to
exactly.
me.
I feel like a
watching
lot
Glee.
happens. Like there are, I mean, you have your regular like A/B plot, but I feel like there's also a lot more even going on than that because there are so many little feuds happening. Like I was looking over what you guys talk about and like trying to think of who's like the villain of the episode or the least valuable player, and I was like, wow, this person sucks and this person sucks. And this
That's a
person
trend.
sucks. Yeah, that's fair. That is a trend. But I don't know. It felt especially hard to pick a winner or a loser. Or a winner.
Yeah, I feel like no one wins, everyone loses.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was, especially for LVP, this episode is a doozy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so we're talking about season 3, episode 6.
Wait, Morgan, did you take the quizzes?
Yeah.
The BuzzFeed
yes.
quizzes.
We gotta know.
Tell us who
I
you
took
are
the
and who you're
quizzes.
dating.
I'm here for the quizzes. I was 0% shocked. So I am Kurt, 0% shocked by this. I was like,
Aw.
okay. And my Glee boyfriend was Blade. And I was like, yep,
What?
that tracks.
Oh
That
my
tracks.
god, that's so
So-
funny.
It works. It all just fits together in a perfect little package because Kurt and Blaine. Look at me go.
Also,
That's amazing.
What
You're
about you
blurred.
guys?
Blaine. Speaking of Blaine, who is Cullen in personality and in dating, Darren Chris actually made a post on Instagram, like celebrating like the 10-year anniversary of him appearing on Glee. So just wanted to give a little shout out to that.
You
Gleeboot liked
watched the whole
post.
episode.
Yeah, he did like a watch me react to it, and I was like, I wish I had been on Instagram for that, so I could have been messaging at the same time, but alas, I was not. But Cullen and I assigned ourselves and others, including Allyssa. One of these days, we'll actually take the quiz and find out the real results. I I am Santana, and I'm dating Artie. So depending on the episode and how you feel about Santana, I could be awful and have an awful boyfriend, or I can be great and still have an awful boyfriend.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm Blaine and Blaine.
Dating yourself.
Yep.
Perfect.
That happens.
I was assigned Rachel, which I was more on board for season 1, and
Yeah.
it's gone downhill from there.
I feel like that's why
Just
we
you
need
wait.
to.
Oh
That's
boy.
why we need to take the quizzes, because I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think I'm that mean like Santana.
My boyfriend is Sam, my golden retriever boyfriend. That's what I call him because
He is a golden retriever.
He is, isn't he?
100%.
I was not mad at all.
Yeah, who knows where he is and when and if he'll ever come back. We have yet to find out.
He's using his natural sense of direction to find his way home.
He's like sniffing around.
I smell mashups.
And that he does, because that's in this episode.
Yeah, it is season 3, episode 6, Mash Off, their 17th annual mashup.
17th triannual.
You guys know the math doesn't work, right?
Yes.
Okay. Checking.
Just checking.
Fact checked.
Oh, this is so much fact checking. This is more than the U.S. government does.
Oh.
Oh.
Bow, 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 bow,
I need the finger guns if you're gonna do that.
bow, 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 bow.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Especially for all the listeners out there, I did finger guns.
Yes.
So there were only really like 3 main storylines this episode, which makes it easier to recap.
Okay, cool.
There was Finn versus Santana, there was Puck and Shelby, and there was Rachel and Kurt. So we're going to talk about Finn versus Santana because that's like the main one. and that drives the episode first. So,
Cool.
yeah. So this storyline opens with Will and Shelby in the teacher's lounge talking about sectionals coming up and how they want there to be like good friendly competition between them. And he's
And like the Trouble Tones qualified already for sectionals, and it might be October or it might be November,
Who knows?
and they've been together for 3 weeks. Logic. Anyway.
And where did they find these people? Because they're never. Why are they not in? I don't know.
You mean unnamed background dancer 1, unnamed background dancer 2, and unnamed background dancer 3?
Well,
Why
were
weren't
all
they in
wearing
New Directions?
They're all wearing cheerleader.
Yeah.
No. I feel like they were just peer
Things.
pressured.
Yeah, that's
Dudes.
got to be it. Because
pretty
yeah,
sure,
if they're
yeah.
that talented, why aren't they in the New Directions?
Santana was like, y'all need to come to our group now.
Or I'd kill you.
Yeah, pretty much. Because she's
Yeah.
from Lima Heights.
yeah.
Adjacent.
Adjacent. That's very important.
And Will is like, I'm kind of sad because usually we do mashups this time of year, and Shelby's like, well, we could still do mashups. Why don't we do like a mashup competition between the two clubs, some friendly rivalry? And he's like, oh, that's a great idea.
So I also wrote this down because so she's like, I just want you to know that like I didn't recruit, they just kind of left because they wanted to just shine in their own way, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, I know it was me. And then Shelby like reaches over, grabs his hands like, no, you're so talented. And I'm like, stop reminding us that we're supposed to like him. I hate him.
When she said, no, like, it wasn't you. You're a very talented teacher. Whatever she said, I remember thinking, yes, it was. It was him.
It was his fault. Like, it was literally his
definitely
fault.
He's the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Series LVP.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just for the whole show. So they decide to do mashups, and meanwhile, I just have in my notes Santana's meanness.
Yep.
Santana is they like meet up in the Trouble Tones and the New Directions meet up in the auditorium, and Santana starts hurling insults at Finn about his body, and Rachel's like, Finn's in great shape, and she starts attacking Rachel about her like mustache and
Her quote unquote mustache, because she doesn't actually have a mustache. Just like Finn isn't actually fat.
Yeah.
So
she like basically refers to him basically as being a beach whale because she's like, we gotta get water on him so he doesn't dry out or whatever. And I'm like, really?
so they're like having this rivalry, and then they're like, oh, Mr. Shu's probably gonna want us to combine for sectionals, and then out of the blue comes Will and Shelby singing a mashup of You and I and You and I.
Yes.
Which I didn't realize was a mashup because I only recognized the Lady Gaga song.
Same.
I had to
Wait,
look it up
really?
because I didn't recognize either, like, out of context. It threw me off. Also, I was really annoyed in general because, like, the energy, like, they're so mad at each other, but they're like, yeah, we'll pause this for this, like, really soft, quiet song.
the
And
energy
whole
was not right in
number.
that scene.
It was
They
really
got a
weird.
whole number.
But
That's
let
going to
me
be
just-
very important for a point I make later.
I've got to clarify. You guys recognize the Lady Gaga part of the song?
Yeah.
Yes.
No. I was like,
didn't-
what the
I
hell is
didn't
going
even
on?
realize. Okay, I didn't even realize that there
What's
was
the
a
other
Lady Gaga.
one?
It's a country song.
It's from the 80s. I had to write it down. It's Eddie Rabbit and Crystal Gale.
Never heard of that song.
I honestly didn't recognize that as a Lady Gaga song either. I was just like, what's going on? This feels like a throwaway. Also, I think the
I
whole
remember-
mashup episode, they only do 3 mashups, right?
Yeah.
4.
We'll come back to that because I'm
I
like,
guess, yeah.
I knew it was a mashup because I heard the country song, but it doesn't sound country because they don't do it with country accents or anything like that. So I was just kind of like ticked off. And then I was like, okay, part of this is not that song.
Right.
That's how I knew it was a mashup.
You're like, I recognize one part of this.
Yes, exactly.
the other. It
But I
must be
didn't
two songs
recognize the
put
Lady
together.
Gaga song.
Lady Gaga song is really good. I haven't heard that other one, so I can't tell if it's good or not.
My parents listen to country a lot.
I feel like Idina Menzel they're like, we have Idina Menzel for an episode. She's got to
needs to do
sing.
Gaga.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you can't have her
I-
on and not have her sing. What are you doing? Like, why pay her money? She has to sing.
Yeah, it also like Shu comes in hot with that guitar, and I'm like, why is this happening?
At least he didn't rap.
Thank God.
Well, as Brittany says, is this what having a stroke feels like?
Yeah. I
But
was
then
like, maybe
she
it
follows
is.
it up with, I think I like it. And I
yeah.
was like, Brittany, why?
And then Puck is playing on the piano, making sexy faces. And so they do this mashup. And then they're like, we're not going to combine for sectionals. The Trouble Tones are here to stay. They're like, no, we just suggested we'll do some friendly competition, like a mash-off.
Which is a fine idea, I think. If they were
Yeah.
doing numbers, that they should be practicing for sectionals.
Yeah, but they never do that.
No.
Never.
But actually, maybe not, because then like they would be seeing exactly what the other team is doing. But they're in the same school; they're going to find out eventually. Although I feel like there's already animosity. This is probably just going to spur more animosity because they're children and they have very little adult supervision.
Well, I don't know, like, friendly competition, sure, okay, but you're gonna be competing in a few weeks.
Not friendly.
Why don't you just do the mashups together? You don't have to perform sectionals together, but why not?
Right?
do
That would have been
mashups?
such a more interesting way to do it. If they
Yeah.
hadn't done the mashup together.
And be like, we're not going to actually join teams for the competition, but we need to solve the animosity because we are one school. We are all friends, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And then
would
that
make
would make
sense.
much more sense because it's a mashup episode.
Oh yeah, I'm realizing the fourth song that I was forgetting is when they're playing dodgeball, and that's they do a mashup, but it's together. Like why not just consistently do that? I don't know.
Possibly a way to spruce it up in the Gleeboot.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a great idea.
And so meanwhile, like Finn and Rory are walking down the halls, and he's like, and Santana like it throws more insults about Finn's weight, and he's like, you just got to insult her back, and he calls her an assless J-Lo, and Rory is like, you're so skinny, you look like all the crops on your family's farm failed. And I'm like, what do they think Ireland is?
I laugh at that. I grew up in Indiana. It's like, bad corn or whatever when you don't get a lot of rain. I thought it was funny.
They're so aggressive with the Irish isms is what I guess I'm going to call them. It's as if like Ireland is a different planet and they're so Irish that it hurts. Which,
well,
like,
they make him like there are times where Rory's like, "What's trash talk?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"I'm sure people in Ireland know what that is."
Yeah.
Or like if you don't know, you can infer.
Right.
Come on.
I mean, they also only let him wear green like the whole first season he's there. Like, I don't know.
Yep.
It's weird.
He's so Irish it hurts. And I don't know, any Irish listeners out there, is Ireland that Irish? I don't know. I've never been.
What a question, Hannah.
Yeah. Do you guys insult each other on like how your crops have failed and that's how you determine whether someone's skinny or not?
I mean, it was just him making a fun potato famine joke because that's all they got.
Because that's
Apparently.
hilarious.
Yeah.
This show is fucking bananas.
And Santana is like, is that your best insult game? I'm from Lime Heights adjacent. I was raised on insults. My abuela used to put me to bed with insults. She tried to sell me once.
And then it wasn't until I was like 5 years old that I learned that my name wasn't garbage face. I was like, I don't feel like that's accurate.
Actually, it like, have you ever heard like kids, they think that their name is their nickname? until
True,
they have to learn
yeah,
how to
yeah.
spell, and then they're like, "Oh, my name is something else." It's actually a thing.
yeah.
Kind of sad that her nickname was Garbage Face, but
I mean, I don't think that part. That can't
No,
be accurate.
obviously
There's no
not.
way.
well,
This is the Gleeverse. Anything's
it's
possible.
Yeah,
This
I
is one of
mean-
many Glee verses.
one of many.
Yes.
How many episodes are there?
A lot.
Too
Too many. I don't know how it happened.
Seasons.
Is it 6 seasons? Am I almost done?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're almost
right.
done. Get through it. You can do it. We believe
No,
in
we
you.
last watched an episode like a month ago, so we'll
Now you got to
see.
start over from the beginning.
No,
You've
no.
forgotten.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
No, I wouldn't wish that on even my worst enemy. Or maybe I would.
Maybe.
I was thinking.
I was like, this is pretty like harmless torture. Just have
Yeah.
someone sitting in a chair, strapped to a chair with like their eyes peeled open, just having to watch Glee.
That's cruel and unusual.
The eye
So
part.
is this show sometimes.
So Finn's like, there's only one way we can settle this then. You meet me after school and you're supposed to think like, oh, is this a fight? And they're like, oh, it's dodgeball.
I thought they were gonna have like a pitch perfect like sing off thing.
I
that they
wish
did.
that would have been so much better.
And then it was just like dodgeball. I was like, how does everyone know that that's going to be the thing?
They've
I
never.
don't
Okay,
know.
wait. I forewarned you. I have a lot of feelings about this dodgeball bit.
I'm
One,
excited.
because I don't know if you all remember, I play dodgeball. Like
Mhm.
that's what I do when it's not during the pandemic. And
It's her
they've
job.
never played it before on the show, and it becomes like oddly central. Like
Yeah.
we can
After
talk
this
about it later.
episode,
No,
no.
just
In this
Oh,
episode.
just in this
okay.
episode, and then it never comes up ever again.
Yeah, it's
but-
part of Kurt's platform, which we'll talk
Right.
about. And I'm like, it's also, so that actually made me think, because I can see like the album covers or like the posters for Glee, and they have like dodgeballs in them. And I'm pretty sure it's for this season.
Yeah.
That's like the motif they chose because of this one episode. Because I was like, I don't ever remember
It's
dodgeball
never
being
in
a
it
thing.
ever again, ever.
We can confirm the source is in season 6.
Or at least, unless it
Yeah.
randomly comes back in season 6 in the last like 5 episodes.
I actually kind of wish it was a fight because I would prefer
Yeah.
a fight over dodgeball
Agreed.
any day.
Yeah.
What?
I hate.
Yeah, Fight Club.
I don't understand that how you can play it, Morgan. I'm sorry.
It's fun.
Well,
Well,
I like dodgeball,
it-
but
so the whole time I was watching, because everyone kept getting out because people kept throwing the ball and like hitting them in the face, but that's
Yeah.
you're not supposed to hit people in the
No.
face. So every time I'd be like, "That's illegal. That's
Yeah.
illegal." I was getting really mad because you can only if you hit someone. Okay, I'm trying not to get too technical.
Yes, no, we want the sports rules.
Okay, so you can't do headshots, right?
Mhm.
Unless a player has like more than like 2 points on the floor. So like if someone is squatting and they have like a knee touching the floor and a foot, then it's like, okay, if you get hit in the face, you're out, right?
See, here I thought you were going to say unless a player has more than 2 heads.
That
Yep.
that might also be an exception. And then it's like or like if Hannah and I are playing and the ball hits Hannah on the shoulder and then hits me in the face, and no one catches it, like we're both out. But they kept just showing like shot after shot of them just getting like pummeled in the face, and I was like, no, like that person would be fine unless they're like squatting, and I'm sure none of them were. I was getting really annoyed at that. That's not what I should have been getting annoyed at, but I was like, this is inaccurate.
Here, I didn't even realize that like this would be a dodgeball episode, and you were like the perfect guest.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was a lot of dodgeball feelings. I'm also bummed because I want to go play, but
So
all my feelings.
the Trouble Tones were at the New Directions in the gym playing dodgeball.
Also, are they uneven teams? Because the Trouble Tones only have like 7 people. So did they just like pick a team for New Directions then?
I was not counting.
Yeah.
I didn't count either, but that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, New Directions has way more people.
Oh, they
At
don't
least, like,
care.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought this was the best mashup.
They do
Whoa, spoilers.
they do a mashup of Hit Me With Your Best Shot and One Way or Another. It's
Treble tones are Hit Me With Your
are one
Other
way,
way around.
one way or another, and Glee is Hit Me With Your Best Shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, it's like a very musical moment because it's not like they're singing diegetically.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a fun mashup. It's a fun sequence of dodgeball, even though it does not follow the rules of what real dodgeball is.
Well,
And they're also like flying around and like jumping.
Yeah, they're like just making,
Yeah, they're doing coordinated flips.
I know. I
Right.
shouldn't get too stuck on the realism of a scripted teen high school show where all the actors are
That's
like 30.
That's
well,
my
there's
MO.
like no one was out. No one like there's no clear winner at all. I don't understand how their rules work. I don't think they had any. I think it was
Yeah.
just like a moment of, okay, hit as many people in the face as you can, and then that's it. Like it's your aggression is let out.
This makes me want to watch the movie Dodgeball.
Highly recommended.
Fucking love that movie. Anyway,
So good. But Alyssa's right. It definitely is the best mashup.
those songs really go well together. Like they're
Mhm.
kind of seamless, actually. I'm actually pretty impressed with the song for sure.
Seamless without being like the same song.
Yes, like
Mhm.
they're still like unique from each other, but they go really well. That's not on my Glee songs I actually like playlist, but it will be, mostly because I forgot that it even existed. So
Yeah.
a
It's
win for Glee, I guess.
good for Glee. So it's like, and they're led by Finn and Santana, and at the end of the game, it's only Finn and Santana in, and Santana wins by hitting Finn in the face. And then
Was that stated, or was it just like she hits him in the face and then he's like, okay, that's enough?
Well, he was the last person on the court. They both were, and so she got him.
Okay, I hate dodgeball so much. I blocked out all the rules and I didn't understand any of
But
it except for like
So what I was confused about, so Rory comes up after like Finn basically calls it, and Santana and the Troubletones like pummel him with balls. And I was like, wait, was he still on the court, or are they just doing this to be assholes?
I think they were
They're just
done
mean.
and just being mean.
yeah, they were just
Okay.
being mean.
yeah, because he's like, that was a cracker or something. And
Whatever that
I did
means.
not understand whatever that was.
Yeah, I felt like how Brittany says, like, I can't understand anything you're saying. That's how I felt in that moment.
and they pummel him, and then Kurt runs up and it's like, stop, he's bleeding, and they're like, okay, Grandma. And Kurt's like, we don't do this, like other people bully us, but we don't bully each other. And that will lead into Kurt's arc because Rachel watches him with thoughtfulness as he says this.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see the wheels churning in her brain.
Another lesson to be learned for Rachel.
First one in a long time, I think.
Yeah. First
She
one.
refuses to learn lessons.
This was not a bad episode for me to be Rachel.
No.
No,
Yeah. This is one of
there was
Rachel's.
some redemption. She wasn't, well, I guess like there really wasn't a lot about her.
Yeah. We'll get
So
to
much
the
other
Rachel
mean
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, so much other awful human behavior.
I felt really bad for Rory.
Yeah, he just got fucking had like 7 balls thrown at him for no reason.
That's why I hate dodgeball.
Afterwards, the Troubletones are having a meeting, and Mercedes comes in, and she's like, "Guys, I've been thinking, we should do an Adele mashup for the mash off." Hannah's excited,
I am very excited.
and Sugar's like, "I sound just like her," and Santana's like, "Wait, who died and made you queen, Aretha?" And Shelby doesn't say. That's inappropriate to say. She says nothing. And
Yeah, she also lets Mercedes come in hot and be like, guys, like warm-ups can wait. She just like laughs it off, and I'm like, you're the teacher.
In which case you would say, no, we're doing warm-ups, and then whatever you have to say, you can say after warm-ups. Thank you,
Exactly.
Mercedes.
And then the whole scene proceeds where we watch them do a whole series of warm-ups. And then Shelby goes, okay, Mercedes, what did you have to say?
And Mercedes is like, well, you've been spending all this time trying to make Finn Hudson cry. I've been coming up with a mashup. Like, I think I'd be a good leader. I was the one who brought you into the group. I was the original, like one of the original members. Who votes me president? And everyone votes except for Brittany. And she's like, your campaign has no posters.
Yeah. That's
Um,
terrific.
And so they're like, oh, so Mercedes is president. And she's like, Santana, you need to lay off Finn. Like, you're a star member of the group, but you don't need to be so mean. Like, we're all friends. So
Which is a valid point. Like, really, Santana has no reason to be this mean. Like, Finn never really did anything to her. No one's really done anything to her. So it's kind of confusing. Like, I know that's like her character trait to be just like 100 all the time is sort of what she is, but she's just like, at a certain point, it kind of just has become really annoying to have her just be mean for no reason.
Yeah.
And but whatever transpires is not called for.
Well, I think it might be interesting to bring up, like, the fact that she is Limelight adjacent and the fact that she brings this up all the time, but it's not really talked about. It's just like a thing that she uses as an excuse to be mean. But if it was an actual story device, that it could be really interesting for her being mean to escalate in this episode, only in this episode, because she specifically has competition with Finn.
Yeah, if she's got like a goal she's trying to reach, and
or
being mean will do that.
Or even just like, as, yes, obviously having a goal would be best, but if this talks specifically about how she was raised, or maybe like what elementary schools she went to, and like how competition was treated in her childhood and how she's treating it now, even though she's friends with Finn, like that could be a really interesting juxtaposition. But that's only like if she wasn't mean for the entire rest of the time.
Right.
Yeah. So Finn and Santana, so Santana goes to apologize to Finn, and Rory is like, you can't stop being mean to Finn anymore. You gotta stop being mean to Finn. And she's like, I'm here to apologize. But she keeps calling him fat. Like, I slept with you. I must have liked that you looked like a taco addict, or just a bunch of like weight jokes. And she's like, be careful with Rachel. Like, have fun riding on Rachel's coattails the rest of your life. She may use the blubber from your nipple to light the Hanukkah menorah for 8 magical nights.
Some of her insults are like really well thought out, except I feel like she comes up with
Well, I feel like the writer's room just like had a wall of unused Santana jokes, and they were like, here, this one and another. Like, let's just put them all in the scene. We have no other place to put them. Like, they didn't make the spot.
And they got through all those, and they still had 45 left on the board.
Yeah, though you can tell the writers spend a lot of time and energy on Santana jokes.
The escalation. Like, I here's a question: was she actually there to apologize, and it just like escalated into her not being able to and insulting him?
I feel like they had to pre-think some of those. They were thought out insults.
That's what I was thinking too. But then maybe she's just like so snappy with the insults.
That's what I thought. I thought like she did actually come to apologize because she was like, "Hey, I need to talk to you." And then like she started going, and then Rory kind of like tried to stand up for Finn, but then she went after him, and then she just kept going. That's what I kind of felt was.
It kind of felt like that. Like she was actually there to apologize, and then she was like, you know what? Never mind, screw this. And then it like derailed.
Yeah.
And so Santana walks away, and Finn decides that he really wants to hurt her. And this is one of the most talked about moments of the show. Finn is like, well, oh, you must be so mean all the time because you're hiding you're in love with Brittany and you're too scared to let anyone know it. You're a coward and you're just tearing other people down because you tear yourself down all the time.
He starts with, why don't you just come out of the closet?
Yes.
In front of everyone in the hallway. But it doesn't look like anyone's listening.
She's about,
Still.
I would say maybe 8 feet away.
And he's
walking away from him.
Shouting.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is prime time class movement. So right.
And even if it looks like no one's paying attention, like
everyone heard that.
Yeah. Everyone was all of a sudden stopping, being like, I don't care what conversation I was having, like I'm gonna listen to this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's that's about when I literally I kind of stopped taking notes because I was like, I don't remember this happening. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, so he outs her, essentially. He outs her in the hallway, and Santana just stands there, obviously shaken and hurt. So Finn did what he wanted. This wasn't, because they're going to, I don't want to spoil anything, but they're going to try and play around with what his motivations were. But I just want to say, in this...
in other episodes?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a spoiler.
Continue.
I think that's a good point.
But in this moment, his motivation was to hurt her, and he succeeded.
Yeah, because what else could he be thinking? She literally just obliterated him with insults. And yes, of course, the instinct that he may have is to insult her back, is to hurt her, just like she tried to do to him. And he went low.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, the game was already pretty low. He didn't really
It's like, how do you get lower? You out somebody. That's
well, it's interesting to me because Santana has all of these sort of insults that are highly intelligent. And Finn is not a highly intelligent person. So he can't come up with insults like that. So where is he gonna go? To the one thing that he knows he is going to hurt her. He doesn't have the imagination it takes to actually hurt her with insults. So he's going to use the truth.
No, that's a great point. Yeah, because we were just talking about how, does she just come up with them on the fly, or has she thought of these for months? And we can't tell, but, we could tell that, Finn didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So, this, along with the F word scene in season 1, two of my biggest, can't wait, as in dreading talking about these moments. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not remember this happening. And I'm stunned.
I think you just blacked out something you really didn't want to remember.
I think so, yeah. Because, because my roommate and I talked a little bit about something else that's coming up next episode. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then this happened and I was like, oh, I get why that thing you told me was happening because this just happened. What?
I am not condoning what Finn did, but I understand it.
It did have character motivation.
Yes.
And motivation, and it's not justifiable. Wow. But I think it is empathizable, if that's a word.
Yeah, we can understand why he would do that.
I mean, in some ways, yes, but in some ways, no, because, don't get me wrong, Santana's being such a jerk throughout the whole episode, but, is there ever an okay time to out someone? Then becomes the question. And I don't think there really is.
I think I would have been more okay with this scene if it had been him, whispering in her ear instead of yelling it across the hallway.
Yeah.
And that's actually more menacing kind of.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. The only problem with that I could see is that Finn is possibly not smart enough to think of it right at that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's too dumb.
I think this brings into a question, because as I like to joke, Glee is the show that invented being gay. It didn't exist before Glee. But that this was a newer concept. So the concept of outing someone, to me, at least in my brain at this stage in my life, wasn't as solid as oh, that's something you never do. Whereas by the time I was in college, that was more of like a codified concept of like you never out somebody.
Yeah.
And like that's one of the worst things.
I wonder if this time maybe it was just more of like a smaller faux pas, like in sort of the larger context, rather than like being sort of a solidified notion that like we know not to do this. Because like we talk about how like they lacked a lot of language for different things or had certain notions about things that are now different. So I wonder if maybe that's the case.
What year was this episode?
2011.
Okay. So on one hand, while I hear what you all are saying, and like, yeah, like that's a solid argument, but there's so many other TV episodes that have this like coming out, getting outed story that I don't think you can think of it that way, because I can think of so many, especially like high school themed shows where a character was outed and they knew it was like a bad thing and it always led to a fight, and like this is not a new storyline at all. So I don't know if I agree with you there, but like
I would trust your judgment on that.
Yeah.
it might be more that like depending on when we all were watching it the first time around, it was a new concept for us to potentially watch. But like I don't think it was a new concept in TV. I don't know if that
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think of any excuse, honestly, because like this is one of those moments where like how we talked about Rachel a few weeks ago, where she has done a couple really shitty things, and like how are we gonna come back and root for Finn at this point? Like, that's something I'm hitting, is like, how do I do that?
It's really interesting because I never knew that outing someone was bad, but I would never do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So does Finn know that he's outing her?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
I think he's definitely trying to hurt her. Whether or not he knows I am outing her, he's like, I'm going to hurt Santana in the way I know how to hurt her the most.
Well, I don't know if he thinks that he's necessarily like outing her, because like he literally says at the end, which we can talk about, he's like, well, the whole school already knew. And then but then she's obviously talking about other people who are going to find out. So like,
that's interesting.
So I don't really know know then what his motivation is, if he does think that the whole school already knows that she could be gay or that she's with Brittany.
If he thinks that the whole school already knows, then it stands to reason that he probably doesn't think that he's outing her.
But if he really thought the whole school already knew, would he have yelled it across a hallway to try to hurt her? And
he's trying to force her to admit it. But
I feel like he knows, because he says, why don't you come out of the closet?
He knows it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
He knows.
That's not what I'm arguing. What I'm arguing is really his intention. Like, obviously it's to hurt her, but like, is it that he, like, it's really that it seems like he wants her to admit it, and he wants to blame her not embracing her being gay. He wants her to like make an excuse for the way she's acting and have it be tied especially to, like, to her identity and something that she's hiding from herself, which I think is really what hurts. But I don't, because if he thinks that the whole school already knows, then like the fact that it's public, I think the more important thing is like getting her to admit it.
Well, here's a question. If the same scene happened in an empty hallway, what would it have the same impact on Santana?
No,
because she could easily turn around and insult him.
Right, but then
or she'll stop in her tracks and like look around to make sure no one's there.
Right. So then would it have the same impact on Finn? Would he say the same thing if he were in an empty hallway?
No.
I don't think so. I think because he opens with, why don't you come out of the closet?
Yeah, but you could say that in an empty hallway.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, but the reason he didn't say it in an empty hallway and made sure to do it as she was about to leave was to, kind of like stop her in her tracks. I don't know. I remember being in high school and closeted, and like that idea of someone like found out, like, oh my God, like what if like it starts with your friends and that's cool and fine, but like what if someone who's not a friend knows, or like what if it gets back to my parents, and like that's kind of something you don't really want someone yelling down a hallway. And especially like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of 2011 and like when like It Gets Better was going around, or like they used to have those PSAs that were like, don't say that's so gay, or like,
I feel the writer's hand in this scene, especially because of later scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Like, I think we're arguing a moot point.
We definitely are.
But I definitely think it's interesting because we're conflicted on really what the purpose and intention was, because of like it could have just been a convenient excuse that he said that later, which is totally possible, but like it feels a little not as fleshed out as it could have been, I guess.
So in the Gleeboot, I have a proposition. This scene happens in an empty hallway, and someone overhears.
Interesting.
So it's not his intention to out her, but the result is the same. Yeah,
he's still confronting her.
Or I don't even know if you're thinking about it in terms of the Gleeboot, I don't even know if it's that he's confronting her, but like in theory it could have been a really great conversation of like, why are you so angry all the time? Like, could this be why?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, friend to friend.
Yeah. But it wasn't him. Yeah, it wasn't him trying to be a friend. It was him trying to be mean.
I think, he, no matter what happened, like what his intention is, he's trying to be mean, and
you can see it in his face.
Yeah, he gets this snarl, like smile that I do not care for.
Yeah, so I feel like I wanted to discuss this scene at length because I feel like this scene is like very important.
Yeah.
And pivotal to Glee and to our characters' arcs. So after this, there's this other storyline going on where Sue is putting out all these ads about Bert having a baboon heart and being married to a donkey, and which one is it, and just like all these like smear campaign ads. So
all this political stuff triggered me again.
Oh my goodness.
That's fair. Yeah.
Do you know what's in Colorado? It's illegal to have smear campaigns. You can't have any negative anything about your opponent. Yeah, you can only say things about yourself. Doesn't that sound like a breath of fresh air?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
that should
I feel
be
like
federal law.
There's a tactical way to be like, no, this person's wrong, by like having like an argument, not being like, this person's horrible. And
even just not even this person is wrong. Just state your own point of view and then let someone decide if they like it or not. Like,
wait, so they do that also for presidential campaigns can't air those kind of ads then?
No, it's a state law, so it's only for state things.
Got it.
It's not federal at all.
I was thinking of like Trump trying to come up with Colorado ads, and I'm like, he's not running ads there then.
No.
That's why he lost Colorado.
But I think it should be a federal law. I definitely think it should be a federal law. Can you imagine how much better a presidential election would be?
There's so much hope in your voice.
Right?
I can't picture anything than what we've already had, because that's how jaded I am right now.
It's only because I lived in Colorado for 2 years. To be honest, I don't even know if it's still a law, because that was a long time ago.
Wow, fact check time. I'm actually genuinely interested in this, actually, so continue talking.
My desk is just short enough that my knee keeps hitting it.
So Bert is furious and is like, Will, you got to stop this. You're my campaign manager. And he's like, oh, I don't know what to do. I can't remember what he does.
I think it's really funny. Bert even says like, or you'll be out of a job. And I just remember being like, but his job is that he's a teacher. Like, this shouldn't be his. Okay.
That was a reference to the fact that Sue is.
Oh, right.
He won't lose his job. He's still going to be the Spanish teacher.
Yeah, exactly. He's a Spanish.
As long as he learns how to speak Spanish.
Which we'll get to.
It took me a while, though. I was like, wait, his job isn't campaign manager. Oh, yeah, it was a stretch.
Yeah, also, I hated that this scene was even in it. It wasn't even necessary because nothing came of it. Sue didn't do a goddamn thing. Sue ended up fixing this problem for herself, except not really. She was forced to.
There was a cut scene.
If they wanted to make this really interesting and politically charged, did you know that orangutans are close enough to humans that he could actually have an orangutan heart?
I did not know that.
Wow.
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 That could just be me making shit up.
I did Google Colorado law no smear campaigns, and I'm not seeing anything come up.
Apparently now you have to also
It definitely was a thing because my parents talked about it all the time. I was not old enough to vote.
Well, listeners, you can fact check us.
Yes, please do. I mean, come on. We're probably
drinking.
spouting terrible, not lies, because in order to have something be a lie, you have to intend for it to be a lie. But untruths, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. I guess that makes sense.
What was the term they used? Alternative facts?
Triggered.
I thought about making a fake news joke, and I decided not to. But
Cullen got you.
Cullen.
I got you. Yeah, but apparently there was a cut scene where they showed Sue singing Oklahoma as a child, and she was told she wasn't very good, and that's why she hates the arts.
Wait, what?
That was in the episode, or was cut from?
It was cut from the episode, but released with the DVD release.
What? Why?
I read it on Wikipedia. Not Wikipedia, Glee Wiki.
That's where I got my fact from for later.
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
Yeah. So meanwhile, the New Directions are talking about what they're gonna do for their mashup, and they're all like listing bands. Someone lists the Jonas Brothers, and I'm like, can't wait for the Gleeboot for them to cover Sucker by the Jonas Brothers.
Yes.
And he's like, those bands all broke up, and I'm like, well, the Jonas Brothers are back. But he's like, we should do Hall & Oates. Everyone makes fun of them for being corny, but they stuck together.
I did not realize that Hall & Oates were still together. Like, I actually thought they had just disbanded and then got back together later on, but no, they stayed. They're touring in 2021.
I didn't recognize any of the people.
Any of the Hall & Oates?
No. Okay, so I don't recognize the names of any of the bands that they listed. None of them.
None of them?
None of them.
REM.
How do you recognize REM? Losing My Religion? They even do that in Glee.
Listen, I'm not saying I haven't heard the songs. I'm just saying that I don't associate the songs with the band names.
I'm a very big music fan, so I find that
I know you are.
Shocking.
I'm sorry. I just don't have a memory for it. I couldn't even remember this episode right after a while. Leave me alone.
You're telling me that you obsess with your free time over facts and information that actually matters, so that's okay. I just get really stuck on music.
I
didn't.
I wish I spent more time.
No, I'm giving you a compliment. I'm saying I get really intense about music, but it's not actually that important. I was.
Hey, I think music is mucho important.
Yeah. Did you just say
Anyway.
mucho important?
Yes.
I thought I imagined that. I thought it was the tequila in my head.
It's the rum in my drink. I'm a little bit drunk, you guys.
Not only the rum, you have rum and beer mixed together. Oh,
Nothing
boy.
on my mint tea, but
Morgan's over there getting tipsy.
Woo!
So they do their mashup. There's like Finn and Santana have to flip a coin. Why shouldn't Mercedes
They don't flip a
coin?
coin.
Oh, they rock
They
paper
do
scissors.
rock, paper, scissors. Wait, what does Santana put down? Just so I can make fun of
Scissors.
things?
I think she does scissors, right?
I think she does.
I think she does.
Let's put that out there. I'm pretty sure he puts rock and she puts scissors. Insert scissoring joke here.
Yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
Why doesn't Mercedes do it if she's the captain of?
That's what I was
That's
thinking.
not the beef.
You right?
That's not where the beef is.
Where's
Bill
the beef?
knows.
Where's the beef? That's what Santana and Finn.
Yeah.
But also, they do Hall Notes, and I was really mad that they didn't include Maneater.
Yeah. I don't know if I like this mashup.
I thought it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was
I
just
liked
so.
it.
It was low energy.
Yes, I thought it was.
Which one? Sorry, which one are we?
Oh, the
Hall
Hall
&
Notes.
The New
mashup.
Directions.
The New Directions one.
Oh, I hated it. It was
Yeah.
not good.
I love this mashup.
I
Are you
liked
kidding
I liked
me?
the guy. I liked Finn's outfit because it was very reminiscent of like
yeah.
that era. Didn't care for the girls' outfits.
This mashup, I don't even know if it can be considered a mashup because the only part of the other song that they use is one line that I can't remember.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was like,
they
they're
use the chorus.
Right.
That's very but that's pretty
It-
common with mashups to
but
just
it
use
just
the chorus
didn't-
from one song. Oh, I know. I didn't like it. I'm not trying to defend this. It was not a good mashup. It's kind of like when you're listening. I mean, even when it's bad to like dance electronic music, and you're waiting for like the beat to drop, and you're waiting for the energy to come, and then it just never happens.
Yeah, that's a really good
my boyfriend likes to show me like
simile.
mixes of songs where like it just was repeating the same thing. There's like a Foo Fighters song that's the same
The
thing. I was
best.
like, yes,
The
I was like,
best. The best.
I was like, can you please turn this off? He's like, no, you have to wait. I was like, why wait? It's the same thing. So yeah, I get it.
Like Katy Perry's "Do you ever feel like a plastic bag, like a plastic bag, baby, you're a plastic bag."
Yes, that one's hilarious though. Foo Fighters one is a bit much because it goes for like the entirety of the song.
I love that song. I won't even lie, but it's so repetitive. So repetitive. The emotion. Anyway, that's not in Glee. We can't talk about
It'll be in the Gleeboot.
that. It'll be in the Glee.
Please,
group.
no, please.
I loved this mashup. I love the bright colors. I love that Rory got a little solo with Tina. A little
He did.
duet.
He did great. I thought their harmonies were pretty good together. I like that.
There was, yeah. So, are we going to talk about the scene where Finn's like, Rory should get it? No, we already did that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of I glossed over that. Sorry.
So Finn says Rory should get the solo. No, actually, Finn says the new guy should get the solo, and they are like focused on Blaine, and then it shifts focus to Rory, and I'm like, oh yeah, Rory exists. And
Yeah.
Rory gets the solo, and I was hoping for something a little bit more spectacular. I really wanted him to shine, but he kind of just got a little sparkle off.
Well, especially
Aw.
since the whole reason they're doing mashups is to be in competition. It just didn't feel like a song that was like impressive.
Right.
Sorry, Cullen. B, like, I don't know, if you're gonna do a song to be like, we're better than you, clearly do a song that's about being better than someone else. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, it's like
They could have done a Queen mashup.
It's not. It's catchy, but it's not.
Yeah, I love the songs individually, but just
Really?
mashed up, it was. Yeah, I
What
do.
was the
I
second
like Hollow
song?
Notes.
The
I'm trying to
songs
think what it was.
were
Making
my dreams come true.
True,
and
and
what?
then
Making
can't.
my dreams come true.
I can't go for that.
I can't go for that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
love
didn't
the title.
recognize that.
That's the only part that they have in the mashup,
No.
except for like one little part.
I'll do anything you want me to. I'll do anything. The part that Quinn sang and Shelby frowned at her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish they
was
had
like,
a different
I couldn't
mashup.
tell what
I
it
wish
was.
there
It
was
just
a
wasn't.
different
It just
song.
wasn't.
Yeah,
a good, they weren't two good songs.
Didn't impress me.
No.
Doesn't impress
It was.
me.
It was like
Shania
going
Twain
on
mashup. That's what they should have done.
Oh, they should have done
expecting-
Shania Twain.
They're gonna do Shania Twain every episode in the Gleeboot.
It was like expecting to have a really fun roller coaster ride, and then you realize you got on a kiddie ride, and it's just like not good.
That makes me think of, I was going to say earlier, sometimes Rory makes me feel like the way they characterize him is he's like It's a Small World doll come to life from like the Ireland pavilion.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
He reminds me of an elf on the shelf.
Oh
I
my
can see
god!
that. Yeah. Yeah.
He's a
Just
doll.
without the hat.
So, and they're singing, and Santana has this face of, she's like, what are they doing? And
Yeah.
I love whenever she makes that face. So afterwards, Brittany is talking to Santana, and she's like, you should be nicer to Finn. And she's like, come on, manatees have thick skin. And then Santana is called over to Sue's office, and Will and Bert are there, and not her parents.
Yeah. It's an
It
odd
felt like a
choice.
weird. Yeah, it was a weird room, but also I don't know who they would have put in. Like, I almost half wonder if it would have made sense to just have Sue.
I felt like Kurt should have been there
Or
instead
Emma.
of Bert. Yeah, Emma.
Would
Who's
they
the
even
guidance
have
counselor?
this conversation? Would a school have this conversation?
I don't know.
I feel like they would want to have it maybe with the parents present.
But no, because that's the whole problem, right?
No one knows. I think they would not touch this with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those weird moments where like Sue concedes in like whatever stuff that she's up to because a student gets hurt. Like
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
she
But then
conceded
there's-
when Kurt was being bullied by Karofsky. And so like it just kind of feels
I feel like if that is accurate and Sue would concede, then maybe she would have this conversation privately with Santana. And with the principal and with Shu. And like, like this doesn't feel like a school issue.
Bert's only
in
there
2011.
because he's Sue's other opponent because
Bert was there.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
I totally forgot.
Well, I feel like Bert was there because he was the one who found out first. So
Yeah.
yes, okay, that makes sense.
that made sense, I guess.
So I had to
It's
rewatch
happening.
this scene because I was confused because he says a name that I didn't recognize. He's like,
Reggie the Sauce Salazar.
Yeah.
So let's walk through it.
So
There's a couple steps that happen.
So she comes in, and Will's like, I just want to let you know I have a guidance counselor's number who can deal with this. And Bert's like, I've experienced with this firsthand. And she's like, experience with what? And Sue's like, I want to apologize. I led a vicious, dirty campaign, and that led people to stoop low. And that's my fault, and I apologize. But Reggie the Sauce Salazar's niece overheard a conversation between you and Finn Hudson and told him. And Bert's like, he gave me the video of his latest campaign ad. It's a video of like, Sue claims to promote family values, and how come she's promoting a lesbian cheerleader to head cheerleader?
And then it's like, why don't you have a husband, Sue?
Yeah. And then he's like, so there's all these shots of Brittany with like rainbow flags or not Brittany, Santana with like rainbow stuff. And then she's like, this is horrible. I haven't even told my parents yet. And she runs out in tears.
Yeah.
It's a heartbreaking scene I really feel for Santana in that moment.
I feel like it kind of goes from like a joke because of the way the video is set up to then immediately her crying. And I feel like it would have been more powerful if we see her face sort of transforming as she watches the video. Because otherwise it goes from like a joke to very serious, because I that's why I had to rewatch it. I was like, wait a second, like what is the tone of the scene? Because I had a hard time getting the tone of the scene, because like Sue was still kind of making jokey type lines, and I was like, this is throwing me off. So I watched this scene twice because I was like, what's happening?
Well, not only that, but the previous videos we've seen in this style throughout the episodes this episode
Yeah.
have all been jokes.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. The baboon heart, the marrying a donkey, like that's obviously not something that is a serious matter, right? Like people should know that that's not true, although
who knows in this
but all the ads that we see are ones that Sue runs, and Sue's not running that ad.
That actually was confusing to me because I didn't recognize that person's name, and I thought Bert was being like, yeah, this person made an ad for Sue, here it is, and I was like, wait, what?
But the problem with this is that they're all in the same animation style.
No.
Yeah, that was also confusing. I was like, no one knows how to do any sort of video production. You have talented AV students.
So that in itself is confusing. And then obviously Santana would be heartbroken by this, or maybe like just it is a heartbreaking scene. But logically, if the rest of the videos are jokes, then maybe she should just like, yeah, that's a lie sort of thing. Like react to that publicly, as in like,
well,
if
I
she
think
continues with her not coming out of the closet.
There's a really important, very brief scene that is part of a much bigger scene that's in another storyline. But Becky comes up to Sue after her second video that we see and literally says, like, everyone loves you. Well, almost everyone loves you. So I think that's sort of our very small note to understand that, like, these videos, even in their insanity, are being taken seriously.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's so small, though.
Yeah, that's super small. I didn't get that at all from that scene.
I think there's another point where Kurt says, like, now, like, 20% of people think that my dad has a baboon heart now.
True,
yeah, like up at the top of the episode.
Yeah.
That is that's much more blatant of the scene.
Yeah.
But it is really like the fact that all of a sudden it's this sort of dorky looking video and then Santana just crying. Like, I don't know, I feel like they could have done it a little bit better to really make it a bit more impactful.
I think the reaction shot that you used, I think that.
Yeah, I said, like, if they had panned to her during the video while she's like watching it happen.
Yeah, because it is this heartbreaking moment. And we want to be with Santana, not with Reggie's video.
Right.
So Santana runs off in tears, and that after now she's outed her parents, like she's outed to the world essentially.
Yeah.
And we move into a banger Adele mashup. I
wrote that too. I was like, this mashup is a banger.
It was,
and like she's running down the halls and you hear the drums go ba-na-dun-na-dun. I was like, yes.
I want you all to know that after this episode I listened to an Adele playlist on Spotify while I was working.
Did you listen to this mashup? Because I have to say, just really quick.
No, I did not. I just
this mashup
songs.
in the show is not done justice, because the album version is way better because it's a fuller version.
I actually love this mashup. Not only is it's
still good.
It's probably my favorite song they do throughout of all of Glee.
Same. Ooh, I think it is the best cover and best mashup they've ever done.
I think it's like so super emotional. I think that like Mercedes and Santana, they never get solos, and they have such better voices than Rachel, and like they never get their solos. And there's this one moment where right when they start, where like Mercedes gives like this little side eye to Santana as if to be like, shit, like how are you doing? And it just like makes it. I love this mashup.
Yeah.
The energy is amazing. It's a mashup of Someone Like You and Rumor Has It, which is like the rumors. It's like a perfect thing for what's going on. And they're dressed in all black and they're dancing, and that shot where Mercedes looks at Santana and the music just stops for a second and she's just like breathing. It's an amazing moment of direction.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I have said this to Cullen. I have actually dropped these little hints throughout the podcast that my favorite song and my favorite mashup was coming up, and it has finally happened. And I have told Cullen this before. Controversial opinion, but I actually think this mashup is actually a better version of those two songs.
Interesting.
Because it makes it something totally different. Well, I like both of the songs. I actually think this is stronger. Love it.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, me too.
Also, controversial opinion. I think they could have done the production of this song better. I hated the heels they were wearing and the constrictive dresses, and they could have added more emotional choreography because they were basically just walking around the stage.
Also, fact check moment, there are only 7 people on that stage. They do not have enough people to compete in sectionals, technically, according to the first season. Fun fact.
Oh boy.
So I don't know what they're going to do, but they're probably just going to forget about it and just go forward.
They probably
with it.
just fill. So filler.
Yep.
I really love this mashup. I was singing along to it, but I do wish that there was a bit more like physical movement.
It was very Warblers-esque, the choreography.
Well, only when the Warblers are on the stage, because when they're in their classroom, they're like leaping all over the place.
Yeah. Warblers on stage kind of choreography. That's what this was.
Yeah, they were basically, all the girls were walking around, and I think it was mostly because they were all wearing insane heels.
Yeah.
So if they weren't in heels and they had less constrictive dresses, I think this could have been a great number. Like, not just amazing mashup, but an amazing number to watch also.
I think I watched all of 2 seconds of it because I was typing notes about how amazing it was, and I was singing along.
I think it's
remember.
fun
I feel
to
like they
watch.
do a lot of different angles with the shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
remember
it's so
seeing a shot of their legs opening.
Yep.
I'm sure that happens.
Yep.
Yeah, no, because they did like this, and their legs went open. Fun
we got a
fact.
close up of the legs.
We will talk about another objectifying moment in a different storyline. Eric Stoltz, who was Marty McFly until everyone hated him, he directed this episode. He got recast. He directed this episode. He also directed the one with all the booty shots a couple episodes ago.
I didn't know that he directed any episodes of anything.
We are tracking Eric Stoltz on Glee.
Oh no.
And all the booties that we see.
Well, it's interesting because the only constrictive dresses that really happened were Mercedes and Santana's. The rest of them allowed for dancing.
Because they're the dancers, and those two are the singers.
Yep. But Santana could have busted some moves and like still been super emotional about what she was doing. Or maybe this could have been interesting. She trips and falls in the middle of the performance.
No, I'm glad they didn't do that. That would have been terrible. No, I'm sorry.
Terrible how? Like, terrible because you feel for her, or terrible?
No, it would have ruined the moment, because I think what made the song so powerful is she's just like fucking belting it. Like, she's just belting it. She's not focusing on anything else. She's belting it. How many more times can I say belting?
Belting and dancing. I want them both. Give me both of them.
Belting is our drinking word.
I was just gonna say.
Bonkers,
I'm out of drink.
Tenuous. Belting.
Belting.
Belting. That's
Um,
the T.
That's so good.
I actually was kind of expecting her to trip and fall.
Really
I was,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm so glad they
because
didn't
she
do
was
that.
so emotionally
interesting.
unhinged.
We're gonna get a moment similar to that later this season.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. I think Morgan knows what I'm talking about.
I'm just sipping.
No spoilers.
And that's the tea.
So afterwards, so during the number, Finn is whispering to Rachel, and she at the end of the number, Santana is like, "What did you say to her?" And he's like, "Oh, I said
She
you were."
like runs off the stage.
Yeah, she like jumps off and is in front of him. She's like, "What did you say to her?" He's like, "Oh, I said you were really good." And Rachel's like, "Yeah, he said you were amazing." It's like, "No, what did you say to her?" And he's like, "No." And then she's like, "The whole school now know, or everyone knows now because of you." He's like, "The whole school knows." And she's like, "Not just the school, you idiot, everyone." And then she's like, "What are you talking about?" And she slaps him. It is the slap that ended all slaps, and the episode.
Well,
ends.
actually, I think the slap on NBC came out a couple years after that, Cullen.
But it has nothing on Santana slapping Finn.
No, it does not. I hated that show.
So that's the end of that storyline. Do we have any final comments on Finn versus Santana?
I wasn't really surprised that she slapped him,
I
but it
thought
was
she was going to slap him earlier.
yeah, it was kind of like abrupt, and then they're like slap, black, cut to black, not even a fade, just cut. I don't know. It was very dramatic.
It was.
Yeah.
I feel like the situation called for some high drama, though. I think Finn needed to get
I don't think
slapped.
Alyssa agrees.
I don't know. Like, yes, the situation called for high drama, but I don't know if it called for a cut to black.
I was super satisfied by that slap because Finn
Yeah.
Hudson consistently needs a slap.
Yeah.
But I don't know how else they would have ended the episode. I guess they could have just ended with the singing and then cut to black. That could have worked, but I don't know.
I feel like this is like one of those things. You know how you write something and you're like, okay, this is almost there, but there's something wrong with it, and I'm just gonna let it sit for like a couple of months and come back, and then you figure out what's wrong with it. That's how I feel about this episode.
You feel like they didn't do the second part? Come back
Yeah, but I mean, that's also not part of writing for TV. You can't sit for a couple months. It doesn't exist. So I also understand how that happened. But still, I feel like it could have been better, but I'm just not quite at the point of where I know how to make it better.
Ooh, what if
hand movements there.
Santana gets a call from her mom? That's how it ends. Slap, Santana gets a call from her mom.
Interesting.
Would you still need the slap, or could Santana have been
Yeah,
like,
no,
yelling?
Finn still needs to get slapped.
I'm not mad about it.
Oh, what about if okay, so the song ends and then everybody's phones start blowing up and they all look at their phones and she's like, what happened? And maybe Brittany is the one who breaks the news that the news broke.
Interesting.
And then she takes her phone and throws it at Finn.
Yeah,
well,
and it breaks his
maybe,
nose.
or it doesn't even have to be a slap. She can just like look at Finn, and then he looks at his phone and looks back up at her.
Oh,
and you can see it on his face that he did this.
I like that.
Ooh,
I think
living in a post-violence world.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
Well,
I actually think
post-violence, post-physical violence. Like, I still think that social media and violence, like,
are hand in
exists.
hand.
Yeah. But this is, I think it puts more of the burden on him, but takes away her creating this sort of physical boundary.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, no, because like people can try to find fault in Santana slapping him, be like, well, she didn't have to do that. But if it's something like that where it's like it's all on him.
Yeah.
I
and
like
he's
that.
the one that realizes it too. Yeah.
I like that. That's really powerful.
I think this is definitely for the Gleeboot because I don't think that would have happened in 2011.
I mean, if they had a couple more months, they could have ruminated
Right?
on it and been like, that's
Right?
a stronger choice.
Although I gotta say, I did this in less than 24 hours. So
Yeah.
Props to you.
Take that, Ryan Murphy.
So that's the end of Finn versus Santana. Let's quickly touch on Rachel and Kurt because that's pretty short.
Oh yeah.
So we mentioned how Kurt is like, Sue, everyone thinks my dad has a baboon heart now because of you. And she's like, you need to take a more aggressive stance. Like, you need to be for something. Like, I'm against the arts. And which she doesn't mention that she's for promoting like learning for people with disabilities.
Yeah, which was the thing that she decided a couple episodes ago. She was like, you know what? This was just a starting platform. This is really what I want to run for. And it's like, what are your priorities?
Yeah, and then he's like, well, I'm campaigning against obesity. I want a salad bar. And I'm like, that is literally the worst campaign in a high school. It's like, you're all too fat.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's a great campaign if you were an adult, but because he's being
right. If you're an adult appealing to the school board, great.
Yeah.
If you're appealing to the students, no,
not a good idea.
But doesn't Brittany say she'll come topless every Wednesday or something?
Yeah,
every
Tuesday.
Excuse me, Tuesday.
Topless Tuesday. That's
Topless
today.
Tuesdays.
I'm not gonna flash you guys because I'm not Britney S. Spears.
It's okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Crosses friendship lines.
Oh my God, she did it! And all of the listeners go wild.
Good one, Alyssa.
So she's like, you need to be for something or against something, and he's like, he leaves upset. And then before dodgeball, Rachel and Kurt.
Something really key about that is she consistently repeats, "It's not personal."
Yeah.
It's not personal, which I think it really bleeds into like the Finn Santana plot kind of thing, especially toward that end.
Yeah, because
it
is
becomes personal.
Yeah.
If it hasn't been already, yeah.
Meanwhile, Rachel has Shelby sign a letter of recommendation.
Has anyone ever done that before? Like
Great
written your
question.
own
Yeah.
recommendation letter?
Oh,
And then
written
had
it
someone sign
yourself? No.
So here's the thing, is that it's normally frowned upon to write it yourself, regardless if it's for college, a program, for a job, whatever. You should really have someone else write it rather than write it yourself and have them sign off on it.
Uh-huh.
Just because that's the right thing to do.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I have to say.
Oh, okay.
I read a lot about
I felt
it.
like there was going to be like a but.
I know, is there a...
I know
extension?
people do it, and I know there are resources online that suggest you can, but it is frowned upon, especially in the job search world.
Yeah.
I know this from work, from the content that I've had to edit. So.
I would suggest, like, I have people that I asked for recommendation letters from, and not all of them are great writers. So I would suggest requesting a letter that you can proofread and then making suggestions to your writer, but not writing it yourself, because that seems somewhat dishonest.
See, I feel like I haven't needed a letter of recommendation since like college apps. I feel like they want the contact info so they can have a conversation with someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she is asking for college apps, so
So any of you students out there, ask the person to write it.
Yeah
Teachers especially are going to be more than happy to.
Yeah,
it's something they expect,
and something they want to do. Like,
well,
I remember being flattered.
Right.
I remember them being like, "Oh, sure." Plus, I'm not super worried about an English teacher if you ask them, like, being a good writer.
No, exactly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, go for your English teachers.
It does. It depends on who you ask, but
yeah,
just be aware that sometimes not all people are at the same writing level, which is fine. I'm not
professional
saying that's a bad
skills
thing.
corner from Gleeboot.
Excellent.
And so she asked Shelby to sign the letter because she's like, I figure your pedigree as a national show choir champion would help me. And then she's like, oh, like, you're might have student body president, you or student class president, you have the lead in West Side Story, you have all these clubs. I feel bad for the kids who like don't have all this on their resume. They're not getting into NYADA.
Yes, they are. Because she has nothing compared to many of those people. Anyway.
And because she mentions all the girls that used to beat her for auditions were from NYADA. So she's like, it's a good school. She's like, I'm jealous of all this. You're a star. I'm jealous of everything you have in front of you. But I'm also rooting for you too. And she's like, actually, could you write a letter? And she's like, I'd be happy to.
So
wait, what?
Rachel gives her the letter and Shelby signs it. And then Rachel takes it and goes to leave. Then Shelby stops her and is like, I'm so proud of you.
Right. I
and
remember
she continues to traumatize her.
Yes. Okay.
By like initiating more conversation and then like being like, like I'm so jealous of you because you have so much ahead of you, but I'm also going to be rooting for you. And that's what leads Rachel into being like, you know what, why don't you write the letter? So like,
I don't remember that last line at all.
It happened.
It definitely happened. But like the thing that got me was that Shelby continued the conversation after Rachel was clearly leaving. Like she was done.
I get the I'm proud of you part. And then that was it. That's it. Okay. I'm proud of you. Okay, done. Bye. Thanks.
Yeah, but it's like it's also like not necessary because again, like it's still that thing where Shelby is kind of showed up and just like kind of forced herself into these kids' lives because she was the one initiating contact. And like in this moment, the like getting kind of sappy rather than just staying professional about it was all her. So it's like she's crossing boundaries.
Yeah.
Again.
Imagine this moment if Rachel's walking away and Shelby says, I'm proud of you, and then stops, and how awkward that would be.
And Rachel
leaves. See, that just seems so much more human to me. Like, she just has to express her pride because pride is a human emotion, but that's it.
That's all she has to say.
Yeah, and then Rachel's like,
okay, thanks, bye. Thanks for signing the letter.
Yep.
So before Dodgeball, Rachel and Kurt Rachel talks to Kurt like, hey, our NYADA applications are due, and Kurt's ignoring her, and she's like, I miss us being friends. Like, I miss you, Kurt. And he's like, you should have thought of that before you decided to crush me on your rise to the top.
He calls her says it's a borderline psychopathic or sociopathic rise to the top. And I was like, finally, someone is calling her a sociopath because she is a sociopath.
So now it's time for the presidential debate. We have
triggered.
Yep.
Principal Figgins is like, so glad we have such a great turnout. And it's like
there's like 30 people there. And including some people's parents. Like Bert is there.
Yeah. And then he goes on to say, and just a reminder, it is prohibited on school grounds to fart into jars and sell them in the school library.
I want to know if this was in the script or if it was a line that like Professor Figgins says something crazy about what's going on in the school and then that actor just made it up. Like, that's what I want to know.
Who knows?
This feels like a line to me.
Yeah.
I don't know how uber talented that actor is in comedy. So it's been known to happen, but maybe not in the show.
He's in that show, Never Have I Ever, and I was like, Figgy Fig.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, fun, I guess.
So then the candidates are Rick the Stick Nelson, who's like, my dad says he pays taxes, so like really the teachers should be listening to us.
It took a while to get there, though. I was trying to decipher his sentences and then realized he wasn't speaking in sentences. So I was like, okay.
And then Brittany, who's like, tornadoes are ravaging our land. I will make tornadoes illegal at McKinley. And I also pledge to go topless every Tuesday.
Which should have been shut down. So, like,
yeah,
the teacher should have reviewed their notes. Also, this isn't a debate. No one actually debates.
Yeah, no, it's just like statements.
Yep.
And then Kurt comes up and he's like, I was here to talk about obesity, but actually I would like to fight bullying and I would like to ban dodgeball.
I was going to talk about how fat you are. I was going to talk about how fat you were, and then now I decided to talk about how big of assholes you are and how you shouldn't have this physical activity at all.
Honestly, it's like he has the worst. He does not know how to connect with his demographic at all.
No.
He's not a politician.
Again, like literally the only moment we have that it's bad is when someone is abusing the system and pummeling Rory with balls. Otherwise, it's just a game of dodgeball. Like,
True.
I don't know.
True.
Yeah.
What makes it so sinister?
Kurt can be so sanctimonious sometimes.
Well, like they just wanted to connect it specifically to this episode. I would have totally got it if his like stance was to be against all types of bullying.
Yeah,
but
not just dodgeball.
Yeah,
weird.
I was expecting people to start booing him. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought we were going to be like, boo, we love dodgeball.
Morgan was.
Anyone in that room would not be bullying. Like, literally, like, if you show up for a presidential debate, you're not going to boo anyone.
I remember the hockey team did look annoyed.
Rowdy?
Yeah. They were like,
rowdy.
They were like, no. Why would you do that? I do remember some disappointed.
They heckled Rachel.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Has anyone had like a presidential debate thing in high school that the entire school was not required to attend?
We didn't even have debates. It was just
they didn't debate, but they gave like speeches like they did on the show, but you were required to go.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I feel like the entire school should have been there.
Well, it wouldn't have been the entire school. It would have just been the entire senior class body, probably.
Everyone in school.
No, everyone voted in my high school,
Yeah, everyone voted in my high school, too.
For the senior class president?
It was the school
president was, there was no class president. There was...
Yeah, there's just...
president.
My school was tiny.
Student body
My school was super small, too, but we had class presidents, I think, for all 4 years. Yeah.
We did not. We just had student body president and vice president.
Interesting.
And, typically seniors were elected, but that's not necessarily the case always for our
Interesting.
School.
That's why I was like, yeah, this makes sense. But then again, like, there's supposed to be a pretty big school, so there should probably be a lot more people there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't think they gave speeches. I think they maybe had a statement on the school announcements, like we had video announcements, or there was just like a tiny brief statement on the ballot that we read, and that was it.
I think they did both of those, and they also spoke at a pep rally.
I think our school had too many goddamn pep rallies, so they were like, we're not going to have another one. I don't know why we had so much spirit.
Good deal.
They're like, these kids have to stay in class.
So Kurt compares dodgeball to modern day stoning.
Which was hilarious. I cackled when he said that. I was like, whoa, that's not dramatic at all. That's not hyperbole.
And then so then it's Rachel. Rachel goes up, that she gets catcalled. And then she's like, I was going to say we need new school book covers, but despite this stroke of political genius, Which I like that line.
She still manages to be self-absorbed even in a moment where she's like helping her friend.
I mean, honestly, like Kurt
It's
and
on
Rachel they're basically the same exact platform.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Like
just different style and clothes.
Yeah. So, and then Rachel was like, I'm withdrawing from my candidacy and urge you all to vote for Kurt Hummel. She's like, he's the only candidate that never went negative. And I'm like, excuse me, his whole platform was banning dodgeball and how bad it is.
And first he was going to call us all fat.
So, okay. Like,
this would make more sense to me if there was actual mudslinging by the other candidates.
I know.
Yeah.
There wasn't any.
There was just some writing on posters, but anyone could have done that. It wasn't.
Brittany didn't
It was
go
on
negative.
everyone's poster.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Brittany was all positive. It didn't make any sense. Like, his platform, if he was just being like, I'm going to do something about bullying, like I have an actual action plan, great. Not, I'm banning dodgeball. Like, that's the equivalent of being like, I'm going to ban slushies because people use those to throw in our faces. Like,
okay, but honestly, that would have made more sense for this show.
Right?
Yeah, it would have made more sense for the show. It would have been equally as stupid, but it would have made more sense. That's the actual motif of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so afterwards, Rachel comes up to Kurt and is like, I hated you hating me, and I felt terrible, and I should have withdrawn from my candidacy the moment I got the Maria role. And so they make up, and she's like, part of my dreams of going to NYADA involved you going with me, so I want you to have this so you could get into NYADA.
Took her a while to get there, but she actually learned a lesson that I think affected other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually her lessons don't affect other people.
Yeah, they affect her and her own.
Yeah. I approve.
So
now we have to talk about Puck and Shelby.
Pelby.
Pelby.
Yeah, can we skip it? Let's just go to MVPs and LVPs.
You don't want to talk about Hot for Teacher?
Oh my god, what a terrible
If
song.
we have to. I mean, we have to talk about a lot of uncomfy jokes, lots of butt shots.
And not butt shots. Frontal.
Oh.
The crotch grabbing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let me hide my
There's
boner.
a lot. There's a lot.
Didn't care for that.
The classic dance move. Let me hide my boner.
Yep.
That's on a t-shirt.
Yeah, so Puck is talking about how he's into Shelby and he's in love with her, and she's subbing for geometry, and he's like, I know I should be supposed to be paying attention to grammar. I can only think about how hot she is.
Yeah. What?
That's
he's
how dumb
stupid.
he is.
That's fair.
And then they're like, it sort of is like a fantasy sequence, and like Finn and Mike and Brittany and Rachel, or Brittany and Santana.
Wait, so is this where he's like doing his sort of monologue or not monologue, what's the word I'm looking for? The voiceover.
Voiceover, yeah.
So, and he talks about like different people who are like, oh, it's okay. Like there's other people with age differences, right? That's this sequence.
Oh, yeah. Where
And he
like,
mentions
Woody Allen.
He mentions Woody Allen and quote unquote that Asian chick. And I
His
was like,
stepdaughter?
yeah, his literal like stepdaughter. We met when she was a child. Like, I'm not going to get into the specifics of that, but like, he is one person who has been accused of being a pedophile and an assaulter, and like the combination of that with this storyline, and then obviously also with like the actor's history, just blew my fucking mind. I was like, I am having a meltdown, and we're 2 minutes in.
I didn't know any of that about Woody Allen.
Mm-hmm.
You got to read up, my friend.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I knew about Woody Allen.
Yeah, I feel like
the first thing I knew about Woody Allen was that my parents loved Tool Time. Or whatever.
No, you're talking about Tim
you're
Allen.
thinking of someone else.
Oh my god, this is the best conversation I've ever had with Melissa.
That took me a second to register. No, very different people.
No. Woody Allen, the actor slash director slash
Sure.
writer slash pedophile.
No. Yeah, you're thinking Tim Allen.
I mean, the name is pretty close. I'll give you that.
It's true. Okay, who's Woody?
Stop slamming you're messing with the microphone.
Tuesday nights, folks. It's a hot mess.
Woody Allen is a director and
Okay,
writer.
who? Do I know his picture? What did he do?
We watched a video in grad school. I think we watched a
Oh,
video, a
thank
movie. I sound like
He
an
did,
80-year-old woman.
Didn't you do Ants with a Z?
Yes, he did.
Oh
Ants
my
with a Z.
god!
He was in that. He was also. We watched.
Not his most well-known work. He did Annie Hall. He's the lead in Annie
We
Hall.
watched the one where they're like married.
You've never seen Annie Hall?
No.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. What did you all go to grad school for?
Writing, but
Screenwriter.
I
I avoided
Go
all
to
Woody
grad school
Allen.
for? You've never seen Annie Hall?
I don't like Annie Hall.
It's like how I associate. It's like how I associate Renee Zellweger with the Bee Movie.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Oh, we're so proud.
Anyway,
Have any of you
so
seen Annie Hall?
yes, I don't like Annie Hall.
Oh, I
don't
hate it. It's a
I don't-
terrible movie, but it's
Yes,
it's just surprising.
yes.
Yeah, because the film.
I don't like Hannah and her sisters. I don't like any of those movies. Yeah, at least read up
Yeah.
on his history so you're aware. I think it's important. Yes. So just in case you get the opportunity, he wants to like work with you, read up and be like, no, I think I'll pass.
Well, I mean, I could just pass without reading up.
Truth.
That's true. You can take our word for it. He's
Yes.
probably a
My friend
pedophile.
said you were terrible, so I'm gonna pass.
And they didn't like your movies.
Exactly.
They don't find you charming.
Like, I saw Ants
Dramatic.
with a Z, but
Oh my god, yes, please
greatest.
do with that. I saw Ants with a Z, but like I haven't seen any of your other stuff.
This is amazing. Oh my god. So okay, so they're singing Hot for Teacher. We get like ass shots of Shelby leaning over, and like Finn is playing the drums, and Puck is on the
She
guitar.
like lets her hair down all sexily, and I was like, "You're gorgeous, but I don't need to see. I don't want this."
Not in like the weird teacher student
Yeah.
context. I'm good.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
I was
Especially-
very uncomfortable.
They made it very clear when like Rachel had the weird crush on Mr. Shu. Like,
This was wrong.
yeah.
Mhm.
But for this, like, they're like, well, this is different. Like, he's 18. Like, no, still a student. Like, this is,
I am
Not
glad that they
appropriate.
clarified.
yeah,
He was 18.
still.
Yeah, after how many weeks of us
Yeah.
debating, is he 18? Is he just 17? Who
At
knows?
least 2 weeks. Yeah.
And he definitely wasn't 18 during other scenes where, like, he's a pool boy. Like,
And he's hooked up with other older women. Yeah.
yeah.
And so there's like, so Mike Chang and Blaine are dancing in the background, and they're doing this like crotch grab, like let me hide my boner dance, and they've like put the microphone stands between their legs, and yeah,
Gonna be totally honest here. I listened to this song, but I was not watching.
avert your
Yeah.
eyes.
I wanted to fast forward through it, but then I didn't. I just stood there and was just like mouth agape, like, oh God.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Van Halen fan.
Yeah. So after the song,
Rachel
Also-
is like, of all
Yeah.
people, is like, don't you think the subject matter of this song is highly inappropriate?
and then Shu, who was enjoying it the whole time, was like, oh, no, not necessarily. It depends on what his intent is.
It's like, what the
Excuse
hell do you
me,
think
this song is called
is?
Hot for Teacher. There's no other fucking
There's no
intent.
other intent.
No.
He's the worst. He's and then Puck's like, I just really like Van Halen. I was like, okay, this isn't even like the best Van Halen song. Like, shut the fuck
Yeah.
up.
It's probably actually one of the
Worst.
worst.
It was pretty bad.
R.I.P. Eddie Van Halen.
And it was the only song in the episode that wasn't a mashup.
Yeah.
And it sucked. So look at that.
Yeah. Puck is then asking Shelby if they can like be together, and she's like, "No, it's inappropriate. That kiss was a mistake." But she said all this stuff like, "You're very charming and you're sweet."
Yeah, she's still like encouraging it in a weird way. She's like
Yeah.
letting him down easy, but it's also like not the stance you should take.
Yeah.
It's also not how we know Puck.
As
Right. Charming? What?
Charming and
Sweet?
sweet specifically? No.
He has consistently been like the voice of reason for a few episodes, and this episode makes it worse, and I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah. And then, so Quinn, meanwhile, is like, Child Protective Services is being so slow. Did you manage to mess this up? We need to spend more time with her. And he's like, yeah, I'm definitely going to spend time with her. And then,
It's a good impression.
thank you. And then Quinn is like, I want to join the Trouble Tones. And she's like, I'll have to think about that.
Yeah, she seemed pretty terse even at that point before the other stuff happens, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, because she doesn't know anything at this point.
Yeah.
And then Puck is all like, hey, you have that crib that you've like, he somehow knows that she has this crib, and it's like, is it still in pieces on your floor? And she's like, yeah. He's like, I could help with that. And I'm like, gross. But she lets him over to help with that, and he's like playing with the baby as she builds the crib.
Actually help with it.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, she's there putting
The
together-
directions were too hard. Because of the IKEA directions.
Yes,
Yeah,
they
he's
were
like,
not
it's all in
it.
Swedish.
Yeah.
No, he didn't even say that. It was just, but he said, like, it's all in pictures. Like, I didn't know it was gonna, and it's like
Pictures
very
and-
clearly,
yeah,
they're
with
like, we don't want to
English.
say IKEA, but we're working with an IKEA piece of furniture.
We have Puck telling Shelby about Quinn calling Child Protective Services and planting stuff. He's like, I'm sorry, I got rid of it all, and I just like, we really wanted Beth back, but like, you're a good mom, and like the universe meant for you to be with each other. So she's like, okay. And then Quinn stops by with a present, and she's like, you weren't returning any of my calls. I didn't get a straight answer about when I could join the Trouble Tones. And she's like, Puck, or she doesn't say Puck told me, but she's like, I know about everything. I don't want you in Beth's life. Consider this a wake-up call. And she asked her to leave.
Why did she even let her in the house? She should literally just be having the door kind of closed and be like, I can't talk right now.
Well, it also seems like she came over really, like, not late, but late enough for, like, a small child / baby to be put asleep. So I'm like, all right, she should.
Like 7, 8, maybe like 8 o'clock. And but it is like late. Like, it's not like it's right after school or anything. Like,
Yeah, she could have come right after school.
If anything, they could have had her step out into the hallway and close the
Right.
door behind her. Like,
They probably don't have a set for the hallway.
yeah. It just feels really weird. Like, she just like opened the door and let her in, didn't even say anything to her. I'm like, why? This girl just tried to plant hot sauce in your apartment and tried to get you non-mommified.
yeah, I mean, Shelby's decisions have always been questionable, but I do think she's a better mom than Quinn's
She's an
potential. Yeah.
Yeah.
Potentially, like right now, Quinn is not good mom material.
Quinn is,
She could be in the future after she figures her shit out.
yeah, after the writers stop writing her like a psychopath, I'm sure she's going to be just fine.
Exactly.
She'll be well adjusted, I'm sure.
Because she's like,
Hopefully.
I'm her mom, and Shelby's like, no, you don't know anything about being a mom. Like, after you have a baby, everything of you that you want becomes second.
Yeah, she's like, it doesn't matter whose body you
Mhm.
come from or something like that. And I was like, okay, very visceral, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's like, okay, I get it. That's how babies come out.
Mm-hmm.
And then Quinn is like, but Puck gets to see her, right? And Shelby's just like,
Get
doesn't
out.
say anything, leave. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
feel comfortable with you being in
Mhm.
Beth's life right now.
She mentions also that like she's like, you can't just dye your hair and take your nose ring out. Like, you're still
Lost.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the end of the Puck, Shelby, Quinn stuff.
For now.
For now. Yeah. So that brings us. Do we have any more final comments on the episode?
Is that it?
Yeah.
That's everything? Oh, thank God. That Finn Santana storyline wore me out.
Yes. Yeah.
Very emotional. I think part of what makes it so like emotionally draining is that I can see it being a real high school drama. Like, this is something that would happen in high school. A lot of Glee are just like, okay, this is a weird world in which I don't exist and nobody else in the world exists, but Glee exists. But this feels very real to me. So I think that's part of what made it so
Belting.
Tenuous. Bonkers. Everybody drink. You got 4 shots.
Yeah. So I think that brings us to Tina time. Tina had
one.
She had one line.
One line.
She.
What did she say?
I don't remember.
She said to Finn, what do you think we should say?
I remember that. Also, she definitely does not look goth anymore. She definitely looks like California girl or something. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but she's not goth anymore.
Actually,
which
really
is fine.
like her hair right now.
Yeah, her hair looks great. Like, this is totally
Super
fine.
pretty.
But they can't keep coming back to the goth thing as a joke if she's not actually goth.
Yeah, she doesn't look goth at all.
She does sing in the mashup.
She does.
Rory.
Yeah, but that's not a line. That's not a line.
But that's just some Tina content for our Tina fans.
We had some Tina content.
So that brings us to MVPs and LVPs. Morgan, who is your least valuable player this week?
I wrote down notes. It's so hard to choose, right? Like, Puck is a creep. Quinn is trying to get Beth taken away from Shelby. Santana's just rude, even if her apology scene still makes me laugh a little. But I think at the end of the day, for me, Finn takes the cake. Because outing someone, no matter his intent or like what he meant to do, things like that doesn't work for me. So I'm gonna go with Finn.
Yeah, I second that. Finn for outing Santana, like, we talked about it in depth, and like, ultimately, like Cullen said, he did it to hurt her. And like, now I like thinking back on it, like, I think at the end of the episode he just kind of made an excuse to kind of get away with whatever he did. Yeah, not cool. Didn't like it.
Alyssa?
I'm gonna go with Sue, and also what's the guy's
Reggie
name?
the Sauce Salazar?
Yes, Reggie the Sauce Salazar.
Who doesn't appear, but he gets an LVP.
What a name, though.
I mean, we've had a piece of pizza win MVP before, so.
True.
Can we talk about that? Like, this name doesn't even strike me as weird because of some of the people who run for office in Florida. I'm just gonna say that.
Whoa.
Some of the people on the ballot.
Whoa.
There was a guy nicknamed Florida Man running for school board. So.
School board.
Yeah.
Florida Man.
I read up. Okay, so side note, I did read up a little bit on him. And his sort of story actually convinced me to vote against someone else who's literally been like on the school board for years. But yeah, he was something Florida Man something, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna vote for you. So yeah.
Well, anyway, Reggie the Sauce Salazar is like an extension my LVP. I really just hate Sue because she made all of those stupid videos, and like incensed Reggie the Sauce Salazar to make a video about Santana, which really hits close to home this episode. So you're going down.
Yeah, no, in a weird way, she does kind of cause him to make a video like that.
She does. And she apologizes for it, but it's still
Happened.
It still happened. Yeah, exactly.
Does he end up running that ad? We don't know.
Yeah, true.
True.
I'm going with Finn too. We all know that I love Finn, but we all know that Finn was an asshole this episode.
Yep.
So, and there's no really defending his actions. He was doing it to be bad, and he was bad.
Bad boy.
Naughty, get slapped.
And I'm not in any way defending Finn by choosing Sue and
Right.
Reggie Visas Salazar as my LVP, but they have more influence on a lot more people.
True.
I also considered Reggie, like when I was thinking today, so I feel that. All right, so MVPs. Morgan, who is your MVP this episode?
There were so many people who were terrible, so it was like, okay, so who are my options for MVPs? I guess Rachel, because like for once she puts, she doesn't do it in a great way, but she still puts someone else's like needs before her own, even if it takes her a while to get there. Plus, like I said, everyone else was trash. Like, what are my options here? So,
I've literally changed my answer 4 times. Okay, so actually, so at first I thought Kurt, and I was like, nah. And then I was gonna put Mercedes, and I was like, nah. I'm gonna go for Rory. Rory stood up to Santana for Finn.
yeah.
He sung a little. He had a little number, and his harmonies were pretty good with Tina. And he got smacked a billion times by a dodgeball, and he didn't deserve
can
that. But you
hurt.
know what? He took it like a champ. So I'm going for Rory Flanagan.
Yeah.
Finnegan?
Flanagan.
Finnegan? Flanagan?
Is
Finnegan.
it Finnegan?
I thought it was Finnegan.
I think it's Flanagan.
Flanagan.
Oh, no.
Damien
Flanagan.
McGinty of the Glee Project Season 1, one of 4
Super
winners.
Irish boy.
So I was gonna go for Mercedes.
I
changed my vote when you talked about Rory, Anna. I'm gonna go for Rory too.
I've influenced the people.
Yes, you have. Rory, basically everything you said, and mostly also because he bleeds, and I don't think we've seen anyone bleed in Glee before.
That's a good point. I'm trying
And
to
Alyssa
think.
likes that.
More blood. That's what Glee needs.
Yeah, weren't you the one who said like I would have preferred to fight over dodgeball?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
My MVP was Mercedes. She became the leader of the Trouble Tones. She tried to like just set them to be like focused on competing and like let's sing this banger Adele mashup and stop worrying about your feud with Finn. And if Santana had just followed along with what Mercedes was doing, we wouldn't have gotten to this really low point. Mercedes was just being a leader, and then she was also concerned about Santana after everything happened. And Mercedes is a much better leader than like Rachel, so like yeah. So that was my MVP. So now songs. For songs, we have Hot for Teacher, the mashup of You and I and You and I, Hit Me With Your Best Shot, and One Way or Another, I Can't Go For That, and You Make My Dreams, and Rumor Has It / Someone Like You. So Morgan, what was your least favorite song?
Probably Hot for Teacher. Like, why not? If you're gonna do it, why not make it a mashup? Like, I don't know with what. They've already used the Police's Close to Me, right? But like, why? It also like, I don't know. It's like a metal song. I don't know if it really works as a Glee song. I also don't know if like, I guess out of your options, Puck is the best person to sing it, but like, I just wasn't a fan, and yeah, I'm good without it.
Yeah, Hot for Teacher. Didn't like it. I don't even really like the song. in general. Don't like the cover. Don't like the context. Don't like Puck.
What's to like? Nothing.
Thumbs down.
Yeah, I'm also going Hot for Teacher because I didn't watch it. And that's the ultimate low.
Yeah.
I also Hot for Teacher solely for the crotch dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happened in Glee Club, and she was like, "Yep,
He loved
appropriate
it. He
fun
was knee
times."
slapping. He loved it. It was just
It's like,
And
I
then he
remember
just-
hiding my boner.
and he also thought that like there could be some other intent other than like this being
The only
an
line of the
inappropriate
song.
Yeah. It being inappropriate. So
Yeah. But on a better note, Morgan, what was your favorite song this episode?
Again, that mashup of Adele, Someone Like You, and Rumor Has It. Like I said, probably my favorite song in all of Glee. So that's the winner for me.
yes, I second that. I have literally been waiting for it to happen. I didn't know it was gonna happen until like 2 minutes in the episode when they were like, yeah, we're gonna have a mash off. And I was like, yes, this is the episode. So yeah, love it. It's so good. Listen to the full version because it's even better. Just to like listen to it, hear the whole thing. But also the scene itself was very powerful. So yeah, it's good in sometimes I pick songs that aren't good in the context of the show, but are good out of the context. This one does both. So I'm happy to give it my Hannah approval sticker.
I was really torn between the one that you both picked and Hit Me With Your Best Shot. What's the other one?
One way or another.
Mhm.
One
Yeah,
way or
that's a good one
the
too.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Hit Me With Your Best Shot in one way or the other. Simply because they're not both by the same artist. And it was high energy. And I really appreciated the sort of magnetism that we had between the two different songs and the two different teams. And I think it like really showed what was going on in that scene with the songs and putting the songs together and the cinematography. And I think it was just a really good package all in one.
Yeah.
I'm going with Hit Me With Your Best Shot one way or another. I love the Adele mashup, but this is like, it's so fun. It's like with the dodgeballs and it's just it's a good sequence. But I do think this episode had some good music in it. Glee is at their best when they're doing mashups.
True.
Yeah.
So yeah. So Morgan, do you have anything you'd like to plug? Any social medias or podcasts or?
Yeah. If you guys want to find me, you can find me on social media, Morgan R. Jaffe. It's Jaffe. If you're looking for another podcast to listen to, you can check out Burst Your Bubble. That's a show I do that looks at isms and phobias in pop culture. It's on hiatus right now. No episode on Glee, but who knows? Maybe it'll come back. That's always overwhelmed me, I think, though, because
all the isms are in it.
So much. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah.
Cool.
Yes, Morgan is a professional podcaster.
Yeah.
know.
So we
I'm
are
so
super
nervous.
honored to have her.
No,
on the show.
this is fun. I mean, most of the time when I'm working on a show, it's for better or worse a little more serious. So if you're into some history stuff, I also work on Tides of History. But no, I like talking about the pop culture stuff more. We'll do that.
Yay.
Yay. So we are on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We are at Gleeboot Pod, and then we're on Tumblr, gleebootpod.tumblr.com.
You can follow my other podcast, Wanderers Cove, Wanderers Cove Pod on Instagram, and check us out wherever you find podcasts.
And you can follow my Instagram at a.m.swearingen.
A.M.Swearingen.
SWEARINGEN. You do it.
Do you want me to
Spell my last name, Cullen.
SWEARINGEN? RINGEN.
Oh, he did it! Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's it.
So Morgan,
That's the episode.
thank you so much for coming on. We hope you had fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
So, yay, tune in next week for an episode of Gleeboot.
Woohoo!
Woo.
Woo!
I don't even know what next week is.
I don't
Guess
know.
we'll find out.
I know.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.